Welcome everyone to Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering. Let's find out if the Final Fantasy set is actually worth your money. Starting off, there's a Final Fantasy Battle Pass. It comes with up to 100 level ups, I think. Oh, sorry, it goes up to 50 level up. Used to be a lot more, but I guess they go into 50. If you get it, you get the Cloud Avatar, Chocobo Companion, and a card sleeve. Now jumping into the store. In the store, you have daily deals. Now these aren't related to Final Fantasy. But if you go into bundles, you can see some Final Fantasy artifacts like the stickers, some cute stickers, some dialogue options that you can spam to your enemy, some portraits. These are pretty cool actually. Like, I don't recognize all of them, but I think that's the villain and this is like one of the good guys. That's Sephiroth, everybody knows him. This is Titus, and then there's Yuna, and then these are like the Final Fantasy 13 characters, and this Final Fantasy 12 character. So yeah, there's a lot of cool options. Oh, and that's the guy from Final Fantasy 14. Oh, you have the cactus. I've seen that cactus from Monster Hunter, so that's pretty cool. And then you've got the Moogle on the left, and the Thornberry in the middle. That's pretty cool. Now these are the borderless lands. They're, these are related to Final Fantasy. Look, see, you have Midgard, the city of Mako. And then you have Ishgard. Like, these are all Final Fantasy cities. You definitely want these. And look, that's Samarkand. And then you have the character cards. So starting off with Cloud. And then, wait, make sure you can see them. So there's Cloud. Sephiroth. Wow, I want to show you. Look at the art on this. I've never seen that before. Where he has like one wing. Kafka. Clive. Wow, these are pretty cool. Yuna. Wow. Yuna is green and white in this game. That's cool. So she's kind of like an elf. But, I mean, they made her human, but it's kind of like an elf. Lightning is red and white. And Go-Go, I don't know who that is. But okay. And you have some more cards here. Nibelheim of Flame. Bahamut. Oh my gosh. Bahamut is like... he's like an iconic boss in all of the Final Fantasies. He's like in all of them, and he appears pretty early on, usually. And you're supposed to like run away from him. There's the Knights of the Round. Dark Confidant. The Buster Sword. Wow. Now we'll read the effects later, but for now we're just looking at the arts. Balfir and Fran are actually one card. That's kind of sad. I wish they were actually separate cards. but I guess you can't have everyone. Ishtola, Vivi, Kane. Oh, the Dragoon from Final Fantasy IV, I think. Lightning. Is this the same? Lightning Army of One. Oh, these are the same. Wow, you need so much gold to get all of these arts, by the way. But if you do happen to get the arts, it will save you in the long run compared to buying it one by one. Here's another Sephiroth. Wow, there's like 2 types of Sephiroth. And then... okay, these are not. These are alchemy cards. So we'll skip... yeah, these are alchemy cards. We'll skip them. Alchemy cards are really good in this game, guys. If you want to win, you should learn how to play them. Okay. So if you get the packs, you get something called the Herald's Horn. Okay then, now let's go look at the cards. These are all my decks, just ignore them for now. I have a lot of weird cards. I'm gonna set this to Final Fantasy now. I don't know why there's Final Fantasy Through the Ages and Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering. What's the difference? Does anybody know? Are these like exclusives or something? But I guess we'll go through that one first, Through the Ages. So you have the Hero of Light. This guy, he is the official Hero of Light. I think he's from Final Fantasy 1. So he's like... he's supposed to be a warrior, I guess, but they made him a knight. But I think technically he's actually a warrior. You have Squall. 3 cost 2/2, but with a lot of abilities. Oh, this is kind of cool, guys, because auras and equipments cost cheaper, so you could give him lots of items. That's pretty cool. And then you have... who's that? Is that Tifa? Memories of Nibelheim, Stroke of Midnight. I don't know what that's referencing, but that's a pretty cool looking card. I like the full art on it. Destroy target non-land permanent. Okay, so it's just like a destroy, and you give them a 1/1. It's not the best card, but it's okay. ENVTuber. This is a blue card. Draw 3 cards. Then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library. That's good. That's really good. That gives you more range. Guys, I just realized they have like 2 names. Like there's ENVTuber and then there's Brainstorm. I'm not sure what that means. Is that like the original card name? And then now you have Iron Rivalry. And then it says Deadly Dispute. I think these are like just different arts for existing cards. Still pretty cool though. This is probably like the intro for Final Fantasy into MTG. So I guess I won't read the cards too much because you're probably accustomed to them. But we'll look at the arts. So I don't know that one. I don't know this. Oops, hold on. Music keeps changing volume. And then you have Golbez. He's one of the bad guys. I think he's the first bad guy. Or is that Garland? I don't remember. Kafka's Tower. That looks super mystical. I love that. A promise fulfilled. It's kind of funny because it kind of looks like they just took like a screen capture from the game. Dawn Warrior Legacy. That's cool. Vane Carudas. I don't know who that is. Bart Klauser. I don't know who that is. But looking at the art, I would probably guess Final Fantasy 6 or 5. Just basing off the art. Oh, Seymour God, I remember him. He was actually the bad guy, I think, in Final Fantasy 13. They didn't show him until like way later on. Lightning. Crystal of Altar Cave. Oh, I don't know it. Lucas Stadium. Okay, that's probably Final Fantasy 10 because of the stadium. I'm just guessing, guys. Okay, so now let's go on to the next set. Wait, why is it here? That's spoilers. Okay, let's start off with the white color cards. The entire set is pretty beefy, I think. I don't know if you can see the total number of cards. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it looks pretty big from the size of this. So starting with the first card, we'll just go by them quickly. But try to guess and see if you recognize which game it comes from. I'll try my best too. So, no idea. Magitech Infantry, I don't know. I really don't know, but... Oh guys, this says at the top. These cyber soldiers were specifically engineered to excel in combat. From Final Fantasy 15. I would have never guessed. I've never played that one. Have you guys played it? Phoenix Down. Oh my gosh. That's like the classic item. I think Final Fantasy is the only item with the word Phoenix Down, right? Like it's their thing. So, looking at the skill, let's see. Exile the artifact, choose one. Return a card with mana more or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. So, it literally just revives a monster, you know? So, for the cost of 3, you can get a monster that died, put it back on the board. The Magitech Infantry is like +1 as long as you get an artifact. So right off the bat, I'm starting to get the feeling that there's an artifact build going on. It's possible. And then this one too, this is another an equipment artifact. And it has an ability that you can exile it and then transform it into a summon. And then for each turn, you'll go and do the ability. Prevent all damage that you would take. Tap all creatures your opponent controls. So it's a 1-cost card that turns into like a late game card. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure how that's gonna go in the meta, but that's pretty cool. Next one, Restoration Magic with a picture of a white mage with white fluffy ears. Oh, that's cute. And check this out. Different types of healing. So you got Cure, Cura, and Curaga, just like in the game. And you can spend more to get more out of the card. This seems like a very versatile card. That looks pretty good to me. You got the Moogle. It's a legendary creature too. So that means you can only have one of him on the board. Target opponent gains control of another target permanent you control. If they do, you draw a card. I don't understand that, guys. So you're gonna give them a monster? Or you're gonna give them a permanent, I guess? And then you get to draw a card. I don't understand how that's a good thing, but okay. Next one, You're Not Alone. That looks like the protagonist from Final Fantasy IX. I don't remember his name, but I remember his tail. Creature gets +2/+2, and if you have friends, you get +4. That's pretty good. Good value. That's probably for a swarming type of deck. Next one, Zack Fair. Legendary creature, human soldier. So, Zack, one of the main characters, comes out as an uncommon card. That's pretty cool. That means he's affordable. It also looks like he can sacrifice himself to make other monsters indestructible. That's interesting. Aldemir Steiner. This is the guy from Final Fantasy IX. I like how they're making a lot of the characters like affordable and easy to get. I think that's really cool. What's this? You mean you can't see? Some of the cards on the right will be hard to see. Yeah, it's just how it is. I don't know why they did that, guys. I mean, it's just how it is. Ambrosia Whiteheart. A legendary chocobo. That's white, obviously, instead of yellow. When you enter, a permanent you control and goes back to the hand. So it kind of bounces a card back to the hand. But the cool thing is, it has a landfall ability, which makes it stronger. Next one, Battle Menu. Oh, which one is that from? Do you guys recognize the characters? But this thing lets you choose attack, ability, magic, or item. A lot of versatility, guys. It's kind of crazy. Normally, you see that type of versatility in green cards, but not the white cards. Cloud. Midgard Mercenary. He comes out as a mythic card, and when you play him with 2 white manas, you get to search your library for equipment and then put it to your hand. So it has a +1 effect. And as long as he has an item equipped, the item will trigger twice. That sounds pretty cool. I like that. I really like that, and I like how they made him actually playable. That's a good cost. Two mana for 2/1. It's pretty decent. And then the idea is like you can give him any type of equipment, right? You can give him a high level equipment or low level equipment. And he can scale easily. Oh, this is a monster, Earl. That's interesting that they're trying to still include cat base in this game. That's pretty cool. Dragon Lance. Oh, the first Final Fantasy equipment. It's called a job select, actually. So when the equipment goes in, you also make a hero creature token. So the hero wears the equipment. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. And then something interesting. It says there, Guideball equip. What is that? Equip 4. What does that mean? I know that Guideball or whatever, that's like a legendary spear, right? But I don't know what that means. Anyway, we have Dwarven Castle Guard. When he dies, he makes a token. That's pretty cool. Pretty decent zombie style monster. From father to son. Search your library for a vehicle card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Oh my god. So you know how in Final Fantasy... was it... no, 15 or something? One of those. They're like driving around in a car. This is it. This is basically it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's how we got the car. Slash of Light. That's from the Warrior of Light. Deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control, plus the number of equipment. So again, that's pretty good. A lot of synergy with creatures and equipment. White mage stuff. Wow. That is so cool to see, like, art of Magic the Gathering. But for Final Fantasy, that is so cool to see. And we've got our first anime looking card, or maybe our second, if you count this one. Irith Gainsborough. She is a free cost 2/2 lifelink. Every time you gain life, put a counter on her. That's broken. Let me just tell you, I've seen a lot of broken decks because of gaining life. And here's the crazy thing, when she dies, and she will, put a counter on each legendary creature based on how much counter she has. So this is a crazy powerful cleric card. This is really cool. I really like it. I can tell that's a meta card and that's actually playable. Next we have Ash, Princess of Dalmasca. I like Ash. She's a cool character in Final Fantasy XII. Whenever she attacks, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card and put it into your hand. It's not the best card. I'm just gonna tell you right now, because by the time she gets to attack, people will have 4 cost cards and they'll have ways to answer, or to respond to her, but it is pretty cool to have. Next one, Auron Inspiration. So Auron is like the sensei, I think, of Final Fantasy X. That's pretty cool. Jellycat, Flying Vigilance Monster. It seems okay. It's just another cat, is the way I see it. It can become deceptively strong, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Paladin's Arm. Another job select. Equipped creature gets +2/+1, so the creature becomes a free 2 and also has a board. I'm not sure, guys, about these cards, but they seem kind of like generic filler cards, which are pretty decent. Maybe. And also, look, Lightbringer and Hero Shield equipped 4. What does that mean? I'm sure we'll find out sooner or later, but yeah. Check this out, we have an enchantment, which is called Side Quest Catch a Fish. So you look at the top of your card on your turn. If it's an artifact or creature, you can keep it into your hand. And then if you do that, you make a food and then transform the enchantment into a land called Cooking Campsite. Wow, that's lots of value. This is great. This is the perfect type of card for a late game strategy. Villiers. Ah, this is Lightning Sister's boyfriend, I think. This is cool. He's like one of the coolest characters. He's a monk and he punches enemies. This is another really good card because his power is based on how many monsters you have. Notice though that there's a lot of legendary creatures across everything. So if you're playing these Final Fantasy cards, I think you're gonna have to have a lot of generic cards as well to help you get that volume of monsters. Now we got Chocobo, Stampede. Other creatures you control get +1. That's pretty cool. And can you imagine like summoning Chocobo every turn? You'll have like a damage boost. Next one, Venet, Heart of Hydaelyn. And he can transform to Hydaelyn the Mother Crystal. Wow. This is from Final Fantasy 14. I don't know him. But if you cast the legendary spell, you draw a card. And he's got that ability to transform him. And if you transform him, you can also exile a non-land permanent from the enemy or yourself. It becomes the Mother Crystal, which is indestructible and technically a god. At the beginning of combat, put a +1 counter on another target creature you control. Until your next turn, it gains indestructible. If that creature's legendary, draw a card. So that plays well with the Final Fantasy deck, because you have so many legendaries. One thing I'll note though is that he's not flying, even though he has wings. So even though he's indestructible, you can still like fly over him. Aerith Rescue Mission. You can choose to take the elevator or take 59 flights of stairs. Wow, you can make tokens, or you can tap free target creatures and then put a stun on one of them. Maybe it's good, maybe not. Next you have Delivery Moogle. A generic Moogle, you can have lots of this. When you play him, search your library artifact for a card of minor value 2 or less. So I guess if you only have like one cloud, you can play like 4 copies of this guy to extend your play, you know? That's kind of cool. It is pretty costly though, but I guess they add him just so you have like more copies of those really good 2-cost cards, you know, like Cloud and stuff. Beyond Bahamut's Dominant. Dragonfire Dive. During your turn, Dion and other knights you control have flying. Oh, that's pretty good. Historically speaking, knights don't have flying. They're mostly ground. So giving them flying is really good. I think this might be a good card for historic decks as well, by the way. I like to play historic or timeless. So this is a card that I want. Logitech Armor. That's a vehicle. Okay, I'm not too sure about vehicle, guys, but it's cool to have them. Rosa Resolute White Mage. From Final Fantasy 14. Do you know her? I don't think I even know her. She is Reach. In the beginning of your turn, put a +1 counter on target creature you control. And it also gains lifelink. That's pretty good. Yeah, sure. Why not? Summon Primal Garuda. Wow. So they're gonna have all the primals here, maybe. 4 costs, do 4 damage, and then Slipstream. Another creature you control gets flying and +1. And is it also a monster? That's pretty cool. That's a lot of value for a 4 cost. I'm actually feeling like this is gonna give a lot of power scaling, you know? This might give some power scaling for the next rotation. Guys, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think sets last for about 2 years, right? So that's pretty good. That's just standard, but yeah. So now you have the Wind Crystal. White spells you cast cost 1 less. Wow, that's almost like a must-have. And also, every time you gain life, you gain twice that amount. So that's a must-have. A lot of decks are centered around gaining life and triggering effects based on life. So that's a really good card. Weapons vendor, some generic human artificer. For 4 costs, you play 2/2, you draw a card. And then in the beginning of combat, if you control equipment, you can play pay 1 and attach equipment you control to target creatures. So I guess it helps you like shuffle the weapons around. White aura side. When this artifact enters, excel target online permanent. So 4 costs to excel an enemy. And then it will stay exiled until the artifact goes away. Guys, this is a perfect card for late game strategies. Very good. There's a lot of options for sure, but that's really good. What I like the most about it is that it has the potential to give you some mana in the late game. That's pretty good. Cloudbound Moogle. Goodness, I'm seeing a lot of Moogles. They're kind of just everywhere, aren't they? You're gonna have like a Moogle type for everything now. So, it's a flying type. It's 5 costs. And you get to put a +1, but it has plain cycling. I can't really comment much on this type of card, but I'm sure it has its place in like quick draft or something. I really don't know if it has a spot in like historic or timeless. I'd probably say no, but who knows? You could make a Moogle deck just for fun, right? There'll be someone out there who's like, I'm gonna make a deck entirely of Moogles and beat them, you know. So you never know. This could be a good card. It's really hard to just say it's bad, or you know, it's hard to do that. Fate of the Sun Crest. This spell costs 2 less if it targets a tapped creature. So it costs about 3 mana to destroy the creature. Okay. But you can also use it to destroy any target non-land permanent. So you could destroy an equipment. I believe you could also destroy enchantments. That's pretty good. A lot of utility from that card. But it is quite costly. Grahatia. That's probably Final Fantasy 14. Every time I see the cat ears, I'm just like, that's Final Fantasy 14. Interesting thing about this is that it's actually a cat card. Guys, I'm not sure what they're doing with cats this time around, but you never know. They tend to be pretty good. It's a meme deck, usually. Machinist Arsenal. This is a job select card and gives the creature +2/+2 for each artifact you control. So this is definitely a late game card. I'm not sure if it's good, but it has that potential to become really powerful. Mingwu, White Mage, from Final Fantasy II. I've never played it. It's another legendary creature. Whenever you gain life, put +1 counter on each cleric you control. That's crazy. Now, if you're playing a cleric deck, likelihood of gaining life per turn is like really high. And you're probably gonna get multiple life per turn. This guy is gonna get stacked really powerful late game. He's a bit hard to get out though with 5 costs, so who knows. Mughal's Valor. For each creature you control, create a Mughal with lifelink. Hold on, guys. That's crazy. There is a deck in this game where you can summon like 100 rabbits. Now, if you had like 100 rabbits and you played this, now you have 200. You have 100 rabbits and 100 Mughals, and they all have lifelink. And then the crazy thing is that all your monsters also become indestructible. If I've ever seen like a winning deck, a win card, this is it. This is like the win condition. Ultima. Destroy all artifacts and creatures. End the turn. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. That just destroys everything. That's kind of crazy. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. I'm not so sure. But you can imagine the value of like wiping the entire enemy's board, right? If you wipe the entire enemy's board, you win the game, right? Because you'll have, something to fight back next turn. Or at least you reset the conditions. Now we have Beatrix. I don't know where she's from. Final Fantasy 9? I've never heard of her, but she looks pretty hot. She's a 6 cost, Vigilance 4/4. Okay. This is where the card I would say is pretty bad. Too expensive. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of equipment you control to a target creature you control. So I guess that would like re-trigger the abilities. I don't know if this is a good card though, it's quite expensive. When I see this card, I kind of get reminded of like the Baldur Gate cards and how bad those were. So I would say this is pretty bad. Maybe, anyway. Now we have the Crystal Chosen. Create 4 heroes and put a counter on each creature you control. I think the key word here is that you put a counter on each creature you control. And that could be good if you had like 100 creatures. Maybe it's good. I don't know. Summon Knights of the Round. Create 3 White Knight creature tokens. Wow. And the last turn, on the 5th turn, creatures you control get +2, and they all get indestructible. That's probably not a win condition, guys, but it's very costly. It costs 8 mana. But notice how it says summon. Maybe there might be a special card to reduce the cost for summons. Maybe. So first we have our rare town-ish card. It also doubles as a sorcery that costs 5 mana. Return up to 2 artifact and enchantment cards from graveyard to your hand. So I guess it's like a recycle effect. That could be good. We have our first split card, black and white Cecil. So Cecil is from Final Fantasy IV, and he actually has a really cool story progression. I don't know it too much, but I remember watching a video about it, and he's pretty cool. So you have the dark type, which is 1 cost to play. Every time you deal damage with them, you also lose the health. And then if your health is less or equal to your starting life total, you can transform him into a paladin. So I guess, say you start at 20 health and you're 10 health, then he transforms and he becomes a lifelink monster. And when he attacks, he also makes the other monsters indestructible. This could be good for early game aggression, maybe. Yeah, maybe. We have Hope Esheim from Final Fantasy 13. I don't know him. I don't recognize him. He's actually a white-blue card with lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent mills X cards, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. That's crazy. Suddenly, all of these cleric cards have the possibility or the option to play mill now. That's kind of crazy. Can you imagine gaining 20 health in 1 turn, which is really easy to do? Gain 20 health and then just mill a third of the enemy's deck. That's pretty cool. Even though that sounds quite difficult, I'd love to try that one day. Titus! That's cool! He is a free cost light blue card. Whenever artifact you control enters, put a counter on him. And when he attacks, tap the enemy creature. Interesting. Right, so interesting thing about this card is that he taps the enemy creature, right, every time he attacks, but he also gets stronger every time you put artifact. You don't typically see this type of card, I think, on a white-blue. I think you see this type of card usually maybe on maybe a green-blue, you know? So it's kind of interesting seeing this. And he looks kind of vanilla, you know, stat-wise, but you could probably give him equipped. Sid, the Timeless Artificer. So Sid is another key character in Final Fantasy. He's in all of them. He's always that one guy who builds the airship. You know, the flying airship. He's the guy who has that, and he's the guy who builds it. So sometimes he's a dwarf, sometimes he's a regular guy. And in this case, they made him really handsome. And just like a regular guy. He counts as an artificer, so Artifact creatures and heroes get +1 for each adversary you control or in the graveyard. That's really good, and that'll give you lots of options, you know, to power up your cards. And check this out, you can have any number of Sids in your deck. So you can have like a deck of like 20 Sids if you wanted to. Have 20 of these guys. Absolute Virtue. Interesting, it's an avatar warrior. If card cannot be countered, he's flying, and you have protection from each of your opponents. What does that mean? Protection from each opponent. You can't be dealt damage, enchanted, or targeted. So you're telling me that this monster needs to die first before you can get killed, basically. That's interesting, right? What if this card becomes like powered up with items to make him indestructible? Or what if you make him like untargetable by spells? That's kind of crazy. I'm interested to see how people will play this, especially in Timeless and Historic. I don't know if people will play them in Standard, because Standard usually favors early game and mid game, but this is a cool card to play for Timeless. We have our first split land. Charlayan, Nation of Scholars from Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know what that is. I've never played Final Fantasy XIV. Judge Magister Galbranth from Final Fantasy XII. Is that the bad guy? I can't tell. He's probably a bad guy, right? But basically, in the land of Final Fantasy XII, the judges are like they're like the rulers, basically. They have absolute rule. So it's a white-black menace card, but it's actually a knight. And it has menace. Every time another creature dies, or artifact you control dies, you get +1. That could be good. I'm not so sure though. I would say it's a bit hard to trigger his ability. That's my opinion. I would say it's quite difficult to trigger it. But who knows? Rufus Shinra. That's one of the big bad guys, isn't it? From Final Fantasy VII. When he attacks, if you don't control Darkstar, create Darkstar. That's a dog. So, what is that? Is that like a dog card now? So we have cats and dogs in Final Fantasy. This is cool. I don't think the dog decks are as strong as cats. And I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see, guys. And now we have Squall. He's actually white-black. Whoa. And he has a skill called Rough Divide. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains double strike until end of turn. Guys, why does that sound like a samurai card to me? Right? Because you know the samurai cards love to play. They love to fight alone, right? So this is interesting. We've got a white-black samurai. Whenever Squall deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from a graveyard to the battlefield. So if he does damage, he will revive somebody else and put it back on the battlefield. This is a good card. I can see myself building a strategy to build up that pressure and aggression, you know, early on, so I can play Squall. I like this card a lot. I think I would want to have 4 copies of him. We have Insomnia, Crown City, so it's a split land. We have Terra, Magical Adept. When Terra enters, mill 5 cards, put up to 1 enchantment, mill this way into your hand. That is weird. I've never seen a green-red mill cards, you know? Typically it's blue that's gonna be milling cards. That's a weird card. And then look, her ability is you exile her and transform her into Esper Terra. So that's like a stronger version of herself. From the story, she becomes powerful. Create a token that's copy of target non-legendary enchantment control. That's crazy. So you can copy an enchantment, including... Oh yeah, you can copy enchantment, give it haste. If it's a saga, put up to 3 lore counters on it. And then sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. And then the last the last turn, you get 2 white mana, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, and 2 green mana. And then you exile Esper Terra, then return it to the battlefield. Wow, there's a lot of things happening with this card, guys. There's a lot of things, and it's really good. I want to say the versatility of this card is what makes it interesting. It's an easy to cast card with only 3 mana cost in total. It's a human, it's a wizard, it's a warrior. So that covers a lot of archetypes already. And then it has potential to become a late game card. Just for the stats though, 4 attack and 2 health on 3 mana, that's pretty good. I could see myself playing her. There's a lot that was happening there. I think there's a lot to unpack with this card. I can tell that if you were to build 4 copies of her, you can make a lot of fun things happen, because that last ability gives you mana of each type, right? So that lets you try different strategies, and that lets you try black cards with, you know, with red and green, or you can try blue cards. There's a lot of things going on here. Interesting card, for sure. King of the Dwarves from Final Fantasy IV. This is a dwarf, and it's a noble. For 2 costs, he has a double strike. And whenever a dwarf you control enters, you can discard a card and draw a card. Now, I don't know how that's gonna go, chat, but I bet there'll be some person out there making a dwarf deck. They'll be like, hi-ho, hi-ho, and they just make like a bunch of dwarfs. That could be fun. Yeah, sure. Joshua Phoenix Dominant from Final Fantasy 16. I don't know him. Guys, but he's a red and white 3 cost with stats of 3/4. So right off the bat, his stats are actually crazy. But when you play him, you have to discard 2 cards and then you draw 2 cards. So that can also be quite risky to your game strategy. Then you can exile him and return him as the Phoenix Warden of Fire. In the first 2 turns, you do 2 damage each. And then on the 3rd turn, you can return any number of target creature cards with total mana 6 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So remember the cards that you had to discard? You could potentially bring them back to the battlefield. That's pretty interesting, yeah. Okay. Interesting thing too is that it has lifelink. So it's a flying lifelink. Next one, Lightning Army of 1. 3 costs, 3/2. Wow, Lightning has First Strike, Trample, and Lifelink. And her skill is called Stagger. Whenever she deals damage to a player, until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player, or a permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to understand this. So I think that if she hits someone, the next monster does double damage. Is that right? So can you imagine? She'll trample someone, right? She'll trample. And then the next monster will do double damage. That's interesting. But I think also the order of attack is important. So I don't remember how the ruling goes, but does it go left to right? So that means she has to be the first monster to attack in order to make use of that ability. That's kind of interesting. I think that for her cost, she could technically be like a goblin deck. Maybe. Just have her in a goblin deck. Just for fun. Next one, Cloud Planet Champion. That's a different looking cloud. That looks more 3D like. During your turn, as long as Cloud is equipped, it has Double Strike and Indestructible. Equip abilities you activate. That target Cloud costs 2 less to activate. Okay, I think I understand. So it's like another equipment type of deck. Having Double Strike and Indestructible is pretty good, but I have to say, 5 costs, it's gonna be a while until you actually get to play him. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. I don't know if he will be good for Timeless or Historic though, because there's a lot of good cards on the 5 mana slot in Historic. This is a hard one, and for me, I don't know if I can recommend him for Timeless, because like, he needs to have an equipment. But it might be fun to play, right? It might be fun to try out. Then we have Zidane from Final Fantasy IX, the main character who's actually a thief. By the way, that's a fun fact, isn't it? The main character is a thief. When he enters, he gains control of target creature of opponent until the end of the turn. Untap it, it gains lifelink and haste. That's really good. And also, whenever an opponent gains control of a permanent from you, you create a creature. So you steal a monster and you give it back, right? So when you give it back, you're actually getting the treasure. So it's really good. This is one of those like red early pressure type of thing. It's pretty good. It's gonna compete with a lot of cards at that level, but it's still fun to play, right? We have the white-red split land. Rabanastra, white-red split land. I think that is the main city, actually, of Final Fantasy 12. I've never seen it, like, drawn with this dark sky. I've always seen it in, like, the daytime. Because those older games, like Final Fantasy 12, they don't have, like, sometimes they don't have, like, day-night cycles. Now we have Garnet, Princess of Alexandria. I don't know her, but she's a character in Final Fantasy 9. She's a lifelink, noble cleric. You can remove one lore counter from each saga you control. And then put +1 for each lore counter removed this way. That's kinda good. That gives you more value on each of the sagas, right? That's a good thing. It helps you extend that value, and what I like about this card is that it just says sagas, so you could technically play some of the historic sagas, you know, and use the value from those cards. Yeah, that's a type of card that helps each other. Oh, guys, my favorite character, Sarah Farrand. So she is one of the main characters in Final Fantasy 13 X2. She looks weak, but she's actually very strong, and she shows a lot of compassion in the story, but while being strong. Not too silly, you know. So the first legendary creature spell costs 2 less to cast. And that counts for any legendary in the game, so that's pretty cool. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 2 more other legendaries, you can transform her and you make her crystallized. So that's a spoiler, guys. Now you know that she turns into a crystal. Even I didn't know that. Or maybe I did, I forgot. The first legendary spell you cast each turn costs 2 less, and then all the legendaries get +2. So it's good, it just becomes better. That's pretty cool. We have Rinoa. This is the main love interest in Final Fantasy VIII. When she enters, you create Angelo, a dog. And then whenever Rinoa attacks, another target creature you control gets +1 for each creature you control. I'm gonna say it's not that great. For 5 costs, 4/4, this is not good, and this is kind of like those Baldur's Gate cards, you know, which are kinda, they're just not good. I think the Baldur's Gate cards were even worse though, because I think there were actually like 6 costs or something really terrible, and this is kind of playable. You could have like, you could play 2 or 3 copies just for fun. Whenever she attacks, just gonna go out and say it's not a good card. What happened to the music? Oh my goodness. Let's change the music, sorry. That playlist makes me upset because of the volume. Sorry about that. Okay, now you have Yuna, Hope of Spira. Yuna, Hope of Spira. During your turn, Yuna and enchantment creatures have trample, lifelink, and ward. Wow, that's a lot of abilities. At the beginning of the end step, return one target enchantment from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. I don't know what a finality counter is, but I like that ability of returning things. That's a good thing, I like that. I think this is a good card, and for its cost, I don't know, I say I'm more partial to Yuna compared to Rinoa. But then again, now that I look back at Rinoa, maybe I judge you a bit too harshly, because Rinoa is green, so 5 costs for green is actually like not that much. Because if you're playing green, you have lots of mana. Maybe I judge you a bit too harshly there, Rinoa. But at least now you know about her. Now we got Winders, the green and white split land. And then we have the Wandering Minstrel. Why does he look like Robin from Batman? This is interesting, guys. Lands you control enter untapped, and it's a green-blue. I have played a lot of Historic and Timeless, and I haven't seen that text in a long time. There's not that many cards that have that, I think. And the power of that is that now you can play double color lands without that fear of getting tapped. That's pretty cool. Let's see the special ability. At the beginning of combat, if you control 5 or more towns, create an elemental creature. So 3 monsters. Not bad. I mean, it's only gonna happen once, but it's still okay, I guess. And then you can spend an absurd amount of mana, like 8 mana, right? And other creatures you control get plus X until end of turn, where X is the number of towns you control. So you guys might remember that there was a deck using shrines based on the Kamigawa set, the Japanese set. And like, when I look at towns, and I hear this about like having multiple towns and all that, that just kind of reminds me of the Kamigawa shrine. So it kind of tells me you'll play like these legendary, well, you'll play these lands, but there might be better type of towns out there. Like these are just common towns, right? And they enter top, but there could be some other towns. I like these type of cards too, actually, because they let you play multiple colors, and it's really fun because you can make different variations. There's a lot of fun factor with these type of decks, and just building things. You might not always win, but they're fun to play. And if you're just playing with friends casually, it can be pretty good. So now you have Noctis. Oh wow, he is white, black, and blue. He's a human noble with lifelink. 4 cost, 4 attack, 3 health. That's good. Stats are good, costs are good. Maybe the mana is a bit tricky, but it's okay. You can cast artifact spells from your graveyard by paying 3 light. If you cast a spell this way, the artifact enters with a finality counter on it. I think it's okay. I think this is a good card. Based on the stats, based on its ability, it's pretty good. And remember, there's lots of artifacts you can play. There's some really good artifacts from Timeless and Historic too. So I can see him being played in those legacy decks for fun. Maybe not optimal, but for fun for sure. Choco, Seeker of Paradise. It's a chocobo. Whenever one or more birds you control attack, look at that many cards from the top of your library and put one of them into your hand. Then put any number of land cards among them onto the battlefield. Wow. This is crazy. It's a 4 cost, but you could technically turbo him, maybe? You can probably turbo him on turn 2 or turn 3. And then that will just make you win the game because you just keep getting lands, you know? His stats are also pretty decent. 3-5. The 5 health kind of like ensures that he doesn't die even though he gets blocked. That's pretty good. Interesting stuff, guys. So far I'm pretty happy with the first look here. Now obviously that was just the color white. There's still a million to go through. But if you had me to talk through all of them right now, I would probably get exhausted and then collapse. So we'll take a break for now, but there's a lot of cool cards to see. That was just the white color. The next one will be blue, and I wonder if we'll see just as many heroes, and probably, yeah. Probably for sure. We'll see lots of heroes and villains. But mostly heroes in the game, I think. Well, let me know what you guys think about the white set in the comments below. And we'll pick that up again. Pick up the next color another day. I didn't realize it would take that long. But it's been really fun. If you guys enjoying so far, please smash that like button too. Okay, well, it's getting late now. It's already past midnight. So I'm gonna take a rest. It was really fun going through the white color set with you. And don't worry, we'll go through all the other colors together. Don't worry. We'll pick it all up. And who knows, eventually we'll pick up some cards too. Because if you look at the top, I do have a lot of gold saved up and a lot of gems saved up too. So the gold, I'll probably get skins because skins are cool. But we'll see what we do with the gem. Okay, well, take a break everyone, and don't forget to check out the links down below. Thank you everyone for all of your comments. It's been so much fun, guys. I'll see you all next time, okay? It's already past midnight, so I should take a rest. Thank you everyone. See you next time. Bye bye. Bye bye. See you next time.